Hey everybody, I'm back with another tape deck repair video. This is a Tascam CC-222SL Mark II. Tascam's actually producing studio grade cassette decks currently. There is a new version of this available for about $550 Canadian. And they also sell a double cassette deck. You can find them on Amazon. That one's a bit more expensive. That one's closer to $750, $800 around there. This was on eBay, sold as a non-working item. I just got it. The description said that the CD player works, but the tape deck did not, and that it played for a few seconds and then stopped. So could it be a belt problem or possibly something more than that? And let's have a look inside. Looks a little cruddy in there. Both of the rollers are fairly caked with residue. It doesn't really smell like it's been in a bar or anything. There's no smoky smell, which is nice. Well, let's try it out. Okay. Playing. It's a 0 dB level, so looks like we've got a little bit of twitching on the right channel there. Probably needs a little bit of calibration. So far it hasn't stopped. Seems to be running so far. Let's try the reverse. This side isn't twitching at all. May not actually be too bad. Alright, now I've just got this hooked up to some headphones. A tiny bit of wow and flutter in there, but it doesn't sound too bad actually. One of the reasons I wanted to get this particular model is because of the inputs and outputs it has on it. This model has coaxial in and out. It also has an optical input and output. So if you have studio equipment that can accept those things, and I actually have a Tascam US 2020 here. On the rear of that, it accepts both optical and coaxial inputs and outputs. So I did want to get it for that reason. It has a line output for CD. It has a line output for tape. It has a built-in RIAA standard phono input with a ground, and line inputs for CD and tape. This one's fairly well along in the run, serial number 26369. Alright, we've got the top off. And just a first quick glance, there's quite a bit of dust in here. It looks like this has been sitting somewhere, maybe in a garage or somewhere that's been exposed to the elements a little bit. It's not too bad. It's quite a thin, fine layer of dust there, but it has been sitting somewhere exposed to the outside. There's a bit of a smell of incense as well. So who's ever home or studio this was in, there's definitely kind of a smell there. Here's our power board. Our digital inputs, the coax. You can see this one's actually on. This is the optical output and input, and here's the coax. These are on the CD board, and I'm just trying to look for some dates on here, but I did find the CD player. I'm not sure if this has been replaced. This is a 2010 model CC-222SL. So power input, board for the cassette deck, CD player, board for the CD player. Got a couple ribbon cables here going to the LCD. But overall, looks pretty decent. One obvious thing I'm going to do is just give this thing a really good clean. So I'm going to do that first. Get this cassette out, and I'm going to try and avoid dismantling this in any great deal right now. If it just needs to be cleaned, I'm going to do that. I'll check these belts. Even these belts seem to be in pretty good shape. They may have been replaced at one point. These gears are moving very freely. Yeah. Okay, we are back on the bench here. I've got this hooked directly up to my line in, and we're just going to go through the functionality of this a little to make sure everything works. So I've got a cassette loaded over here, and I'm just going to hit play just for a few seconds. And in reverse. So it's actually functioning perfectly. Off camera, I've let this thing roll for a whole side of a tape and it didn't stop. So I'm wondering if perhaps they had a frozen cassette or something. The seller, perhaps, that is working fine. The speed control works. Dolby noise reduction works. This has Dolby B noise reduction. The display is all functioning. In a moment I will try recording. The reverse mechanism works. Forward and rewind are both operating smoothly. So we've got some distortion going on. You can hear it on the kick drum there. So that's clearly something that's wrong. It's probably just a line level setting, and I think it's actually on this is the CD board here, and there's another board underneath that's connected to the line outs. I'm gonna have a look and see if there's a actual line out volume setting on the circuit board. Another thing that doesn't seem to be working is the eject. So it's not ejecting. There's some settings that are definitely off here. I've been reading the manual, and there are two line outputs for RCA. So there's a CD only line output, and then there's a second line output that can be cassette or CD. The menu's selected here, and you can just cycle through it. And here's the output too. It was on tape, but we're just going to switch it over to auto here. And we have no distortion, so that's solved the level setting issue. Alright, we've got the CD player opened up here. It was pretty easy to get apart, just a few little screws. Just gonna hit the eject button and see what happens. I can't. Everything's kind of stuck right now. Now, is there a way to reset this? Well, off camera, I've been continuing to play around with this, and at the moment it seems to be working a little better. Sometimes it only works partially, and of course as soon as I turn the camera on it stops working. But for a while there, and there it comes. So I'm just going to live with this for the next little while until I can get a replacement. Okay, we've got the deck hooked up in the studio setup here, and this is likely where it will stay should there be no more problems. And I'm going to just load in a blank CD here. This is just a blank CDR. This will do rewritable CDs, but I don't have any of those at the moment. So it's going to load, and it should tell us it recognizes a CDR. And blank disk, no table of contents, and we've got a CDR showing. So our first test will be to test the recording from the computer to the CD drive. We'll be using the YouTube song library for this, and I'm going to use the coax input. So this is the digital output from my sound card going into the machine, and that digital input will only work for the CD player. You can't go from digital to cassette. Alright, so we're going to just go over to my mixer here, arm this, and in a moment it'll say it's ready to record. Record standby. And that's going to pick up my microphone as well. So here we go. Okay, and we will play that back. Okay, so a little bit lower of a signal coming into the computer there, but overall the recording sounds great. And it's a nice clean recording. Of course, going digital to digital, it should be. So the next recording we will test is the cassette player, and we cannot do a digital to cassette transfer, so we're going to go from CD to cassette. I've got it all queued up here, so we'll just arm the cassette player, and I've got it all zeroed, and so we're just going to start with pushing play on the cassette, and then we'll push play on the CD. There we go. So we're going to go to return to 0 for the tape and play that back. And that sounds great. The other way to do a recording from CD to tape is to use one of these dub buttons. This one here will go from CD to tape, and it will actually rewind the tape to the beginning. And so I'll just fast forward it here. And when we hit this, it's going to just record the whole CD to tape. So let's just give that a push. It's rewinding. Alright, so the next test will be from cassette to CD. And so we'll rewind to the beginning here, and there is another one-touch mechanism to go from tape to CD, but we're going to want to test out this level just to make sure we're not going to peak. Alright, so a little bit hot. Interesting, you can't actually adjust the level. Well, let's try it out and see what happens. So we're going from tape to CD. This should record to track 2. Alright, so that recorded track 2. And let's play that back. And that all sounds great. Not a lot of wow and flutter on the cassette deck, which is great considering how dirty it was when I got it. Everything is running smooth, and the pitches are correct. The equalization, the frequency response is all quite good. So all in all, very good. Very happy with this. This is where we'll end the video. I am still having some issues with the eject mechanism on the CD player. It only works a little bit, takes a couple of presses and sometimes it doesn't work at all. So that's something I'm just going to live with for now. Like I said, that CD player is quite delicate and I didn't want to mess anything up. So as long as it's reading and writing and I can actually get a CD out, I'll tolerate that until I can find a suitable replacement. Anyhow, I hope you've found this video interesting. I'm going to have another one coming on a Walkman repair. So please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.